Hi, everyone. Welcome to Outside the Game, because that's where we are today. As many of you know, we tape our programs on Tuesdays. Well, today is not the day to go anywhere, so unfortunately, we're snowed in and under a travel ban. I'm in Highland. Rick Zolzer is in Poughkeepsie. Tough goings, Rick, huh?
Hey, listen, man, I've been attached to my snowblower for the last several hours. I can't even get out of the bottom of my driveway, so there's no way I can make it in and do this segment. I'm sorry, because I'm all about the snow right now, big fella.
Yeah, well, we all can't get in to give you our normal Inside the Game, so we'll go with an abnormal edition of Inside the Game as we take a look back at some of the best moments, topics, and reactions in the shows so far, along with some quintessential Zolzer-isms.
Charlie, do we have a best of? It's only been 5 weeks. We're really not that good yet.
There's gems all over the place, Zolzer, that you provide for us. So that's what we're going to do for this week. On a local note, the Warriors of Our Lady of Lourdes boys basketball team headed up to Binghamton later this week as they make a run for the state title. So Big James, the Hildebrands, Joe Heavey, Kevin Towns, Coach Santoro, the rest of the team, here's hoping you bring it home, boys. Enjoy this week's Inside the Game. We'll be back next week.
And today we'll be discussing the Super Bowl. But before we get to that, last week's show was our debut. Did you get any feedback?
It's really weird. First of all, it's amazing how many people say they saw it, because it's the first episode, and it's not like we have a multi-million-dollar budget to promote the fact that we have this stupid little thing on. But people said, dude, did you know you're on TV? You're not on the radio, you're on TV. I'm like, yeah, why? I had a nice clean shirt on. He goes, dude, when was the last time you shaved? I'm like, what? So I go back and I look at the thing, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of look like Grizzly Adams. So the bottom line for me this week is, look, I shaved. I made sure I shaved like literally an hour ago with the 2-hour delay. But now there's this. I'm going to the clinic right after this, that 24-hour thing that's on Route 9. And I'm going to have them look at the fact that I have a rock in my eye here. Get nice and close. You see that red dot? I know everybody's going to talk about it. They're going to make fun of me, so I'm getting it out of the way now. Yes. I got a red dot in my eye. No one hit me in the face with a 2x4. I didn't walk into a door in a drunken stupor. I got a big red whatever in my eye, and I'm hoping those people on Route 9 can tell me what it is.
Yeah, well, I might be right behind you because I got something going on.
Well, he walks in, I said, man, I sound like Darth Vader sitting next to me.
You'll never find.
Oh, Lou Rawls.
Yeah, right.
You ready for this? The Simpsons. Apparently, The Simpsons did an episode 5 years ago of her doing a Super Bowl halftime show. I am not lying, being lowered down from the roof in an outfit almost similar to what she wore. Right. For someone that I hope to do poorly so I can make fun of her, I was disappointed that I only got to praise her, because the truth of the matter is, it's one of the best halftime shows ever. And that beats my boy Michael Jackson back in '93 when, remember, he was on top of the scoreboard, yeah, and then he got shot out of the floor. Yeah, right, yeah. So that was a very, very entertaining halftime show. No two ways about it. It dwarfed what the Up With people did in the first couple of...
All right, so that brings us to the fourth quarter, and we've talked about Tom Brady and how he did. We've talked about Lady Gaga and how she did. We talked about everybody, but we didn't talk about the sponsors yet. How did they...
You know what? I've been doing this for like 23 years now, because the Super Bowl, Monday after Super Bowl Sunday, I refuse to watch USA Track Meter, what they do, because I want to get my own opinion. I don't want to be swayed. Right. I sit there with two laptops. Actually, it's a laptop and an iPad. And one does the notes on the game and the social media on Facebook, and the other one I type for the commercial. I've never had so many zeros. And what I mean by is, why bother spending the $5 million to air it and the $2 million to promote it when it's A, either an old spot, or B, it's totally uncreative and it's not going to make people notice? Because when you have this audience of 111 million in a bad year, you want them to notice your product. I've never had 15 zeros. I may have 1 or 2 zeros every year. And Turkish Airlines. I actually turned to Mary and said, what? Are people flying to Turkey? Do you need to spend all that money to advertise, come to Turkey? It's a wonderful place to hang out in the summer. I didn't get that one at all. But the ones that were good were pretty good.
You're going to read your list. I don't agree with a lot of your list. Okay.
It's okay. This is America.
That is true.
It's the sports as I see it. You're the straight guy. You're the normal guy. You're the guy that wears a jacket, not me.
Go ahead.
All right, first, I like the fact that they brought back Spuds McKenzie. He was an absolute signature for years.
Yeah, but
the ghost of Spuds McKenzie.
Commercial was too long.
Wasn't it like 90 seconds?
It was too long.
And so that means it was 15 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's $5 million a segment.
Yeah, less is more in that case. They would have much more impact if Spud was there for a little bit and then gone.
There were multiple commercials were on the brink of number 10. I gave Spud the nod because Spud was once the man.
All right, go ahead.
LeBron and Sprite.
Come on.
LeBron.
Why? Because it's LeBron?
Exactly. It's my segment.
There was nothing to that.
It was LeBron. Go ahead. Mercedes with Peter Fonda. Easy Ride.
Same thing. It was like, why? Because he's back from the 60s.
When I was a young kid, that movie, I believe it was like X-rated or something, and I snuck into the movies to watch it, and I've always remembered that movie.
So if they had the cast of Gilligan's Island on there, loved it.
I'm giving it a 10. And I only normally go to a 5. Okay, so I gave that one a 4. Yeah. Mr. Clean, creepy, but worthy of attention.
It was, okay. It was creepy, though.
It was absolutely creepy.
And hi, everyone. Welcome back to Inside the Game. CC and The Zolz, Charlie Cornacchio, Rick Zolzer. With football season behind us, we now turn our attention to pitchers and catchers. We'll talk a little Mets and Yankees, as well as a new venture for Alex Rodriguez and some basketball, feuding on and off the court. Let's start with that. Former New York Knick Charles Oakley, banned from Madison Square Garden by James Dolan.
Well, this was, I think, the second most embarrassing moment in Knick history. The first one was Van Gundy dry humping Alonzo Mourning's leg in the playoff, if you remember that. Hopefully you'll have a shot of that because that's just the worst moment ever. But here's Charles Oakley, who was a hard-nosed, borderline dirty player who did all the dirty work for the Knicks. And the crowd loved him for always giving an effort. And James Dolan, who I think is probably one of the most hated owners ever for a New York franchise. Also think he's the worst owner ever in New York franchise. He can't mess up the Rangers because he lets Sather do what he does because Sather knows what he's doing. He's had a pretty decent history in winning in the NHL. So he leaves the Rangers alone, but he always is picking at the Knicks, sits right underneath their basket. And Oakley has been trying to talk to him for years. And he's too big. Please, I'm James Dolan, and you're just Charles Oakley, the guy that they pay to come see. And Oakley bought a ticket right behind him and started giving him an earful. And Dolan wouldn't even turn around and look at him until security arrived. And now my impression of the video is that first the security guys put their hands on Oakley. And Oakley is a prideful man in his building. And he's like, get your hands off me. And when they wouldn't, he slapped them away. And the guy grabbed him. He did the finger point to the forehead. Oakley probably overreacted, but I have to understand the mind of a professional athlete at that level. Don't disrespect me. That's the biggest thing any pro athlete in any sport has. Don't disrespect me.
And welcome back to Inside the Game. We are now at the overtime period where we talk about the business of sports. And let's talk about the business of Alex Rodriguez in the booth and potentially on the TV screen.
Well, if you've watched the playoffs, the biggest star was Alex Rodriguez on the pre- and post-game sets. He was unbelievable. And I know a lot of Yankee fans still hate the guy, which I've never understood. Yes, he does and says some stupid things, but he was by far the best player and the best option the Yankees had at that time in his career. He lit up the TV screen. He's good looking. He's smart. He's well spoken. He was the absolute antithesis of Pete Rose, who was a train wreck. But you watch because what is Pete Rose going to say next?
Right, yeah.
I mean, he said stuff that made me look intelligent. I mean, he was just out of his mind. But A-Rod was able to be calm. He knew his numbers. He knew his stats. He was absolutely on point. And I remember I said on the air when I did the Sports in the Morning, I said, that TV star somewhere. Well, CNBC is giving him an opportunity. He's going to put together a show. I want to make sure I get the name right. Where back in the game, where he's going to visit with ex-baseball players who have lost fortunes, and there's a lot of them. Yes. Where their money has been mismanaged, they've had different addictions, and they've spent their money, whatever the case may be. And the show is going to center around A-Rod and CNBC providing financial experts, life coaches, lawyers to get them out of debt, all of those things to change the negative down spiral that has become this athlete. And all these guys are going to put them back together and get him back to becoming a prominent player in society again. And A-Rod is going to be the guy, I guess, like Jeff Probst, who's going to go from segment to segment. He's going to be the guy to be the, the transition kind of thing. And I think it's going to excel. I'm upset it's only on CNBC, because I would watch it if it was on Fox.
Yeah, it might have some legs because of and he'll come out like the hero, like he's doing all the stuff for these people, which is great. There was a show called Back in the Game, 2013 on ABC, I think it was. It was a sitcom. It's called Back in the Game. James Caan was like the old grumpy guy, and
which he plays well.
And his daughter lost her job or whatever. Her son didn't make the little league team, so she took over the team, but she didn't know how to coach. So he came in to coach, and he was calling the kids fat and lazy, and you suck. And he was, but it only lasted.
It's bad news bears.
It's bad news bears, yeah. Okay.
But listen, A-Rod's a star, and A-Rod's going to make a lot of money in television, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to see from this guy. And again, a guy who went from villain, and then people loved him again at the Yankee Stadium, and now he became the guy that primed the pump for the youth movement, and he still says he might play. Yeah. Right now he's in spring training as an instructor.
Like the Larry Holmes.
Larry Holmes won some big fights when he was like 108.
I know, but these guys just don't know when to retire. They're not good at retirement.
I would pay to see A-Rod hit again. No doubt about it. I would pay to see that.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean,
Dude, listen, when I was with the Nets, there's a guy who came and played for the Washington Wizards who was 107 years old, Michael Jordan, and he could still flat out play as a Wizard. People go, it's hurting his legacy. What? Hurting his legacy? He don't have enough hands for the rings.
Yeah.
This is stupid. I would absolutely pay to see A-Rod play again. I don't think it's ever going to happen, because Miami was the only place where he may have gone. But listen, he's got a whole new career, and he's going to be very successful.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Game. CC and The Zolz, Charlie Cornacchio, Rick Zolzer.
Dellin Betances in the arbitration process. So the Yankees, they don't want to pay as much, and Betances and his people want to raise. So instead of picking something in the middle, they end up in court, where the Yankees go out of their way to prove the fact that Dellin doesn't deserve the $5 million he's asking. Mm-hmm. He only deserves the $3 million he's asking. So some negative things are said about blown saves, high ERAs, inherited runners, so on and so forth. And Betances' people are trying to say how great he is. Well, again, rarely does it get that far, but even rarer, does once a decision is handed down, in this case in favor of the Yankees, does anybody talk about it other than some small grumbling by the loser, which tends to be the player when that happens. The home team, the team never bubbles, except for Randy Levine, who is by far the biggest idiot in all of Yankeedom. He has shot his mouth off multiple times. He is a bully. He's a guy that likes to beat his chest, and he protects the brand with fever. He's all about the Yankees. He calls out the agents and says how he calls a press conference, which no one has ever done, to tell the reporters on essentially what losers his agents are, and trying to create a market that's never been done before. Now, let's be honest about Dellin Betances. The guy been in the league for 3 years. He's been an all-star for 3 years. He's one of the most dominant setup men in all of baseball. In fact, he was number 2 before Wade Davis became a closer, when Wade was the number 1 guy. And when they traded Chapman, they made him a closer, even though he wasn't suited for the role. He said, "Give me the ball." He had some success, but he also had some fatigue at the end of the season, frankly, when they needed him the most. But Levine goes in there and starts bashing his agents. So Betances is like, you know what? I would have been fine just, licking my wounds and shut my mouth. Now what they're doing is they're pissing off one of their prized young players who's homegrown, who lives in the Bronx.
Yeah.
They're pissing off Major League Baseball's Player Association, because they said what Randy Levine did was completely unhinged and unprofessional. And they're just putting another mark against the club, because go all the way back to Babe Ruth. For whatever reason, they don't treat their own very well. If you're a free agent, they throw flowers. 20 seconds. Where was my 30-second warning? Oh, my God. Bottom line, Andy Levine is an idiot, and the way he handled this is ridiculous, and I hope Betances signs somewhere else, like the Dodgers. There were 6 quarterbacks in the 2000 NFL draft that were picked ahead of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Now, I think we both agree that if he's not the best of all time, he is certainly one of 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. but I think he's the best of all time.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, who are the 6 guys taken before him and what happened to them? And it just proves how ineffective the drafting of NFL players is. It's really a crapshoot.
Yeah, right.
So first up, the guy who was picked way in front of him was number 18 quarterback out of Marshall by the New York Jets, Chad Pennington. Decent quarterback, a couple of decent years. But a couple of years.
Yeah.
Oh, when you hear the rest of these names,
I know.
You're going to give Chad
don't even know
credit.
who they are. And Darrelle Revis's arrest 1 week later. Lots of questions, no answers. Start the clock.
Well, here's what I should say about the Revis problem. First and foremost, I don't think this arrest and this dust-up should have anything to do with the Jets' decision to deal with his. Let me see. They have a $2 million roster bonus that's due on March 10th. Don't pay it. Move on. It has nothing to do with this. Revis Island was a deserted island for the last season. Yeah. When he's not nicked up and hurt, he's not the same guy. Now, it happens to everybody in football. No matter how great you are, you can't beat Father Time. He gets absolutely everybody. Now, some people avoid it a little longer, but Revis as a cornerback and a top 10 cornerback in this league is done. He's not anymore. At Baylor in the football program, at least 24 women were sexually assaulted by 19 different players. They're also being sued by another woman whose lawyers are saying that the evidence is overwhelming and far more than the university already knows about. Now, what the university did was, like at Penn State, they tried to cover it up. They wanted to protect the coach and protect the program. So they actually told women not to testify, to think of the school, to think of the players, to think of their future. You're talking about sexual assault. At no time ever should that be swept under the carpet, because it is a problem at major universities and minor universities all over the country. It's an issue. And to have a woman try to then say that it's not that big a deal, I think is absolutely criminal. Now, let me continue with some of her other comments. She goes, I work here, my daughter went to school here, and it's the best damn school in America. Well, guess what? They're probably only slightly better than Penn State and the cesspool that school is for what happened there back in the day. But then she says, if you hear someone say, I'll never send my daughter to Baylor, you knock them right in the face.
And that was the comment that you wanted to retract.
She should lose her job. She's an idiot. An absolute idiot for a woman. Because women are all the time being considered second-class citizens in these things. They're being told not to testify. I have 2 daughters. I'll tell you what, the person who would get knocked in the face would be her if it was my daughter. Yeah, right. Absolutely insensitive, idiotic, moronic, and I'm sorry to get all worked up right before halftime, but when I read these comments, I couldn't believe my Levine is that bad guy villain face that the Yankees have. So here's why I'm mad again this week. 2 weeks in a row, Andy Levine is getting blasted. We all know that Derek Jeter night, where they're going to retire his number and put him in Monument Park, is going to happen in May. What the Yankees have done to start my anger is they themselves have taken the face price of tickets, and on some tickets throughout the stadium, they've raised them as much as 600%. Now, that's the face value of the ticket, what you pay the Yankees for. It's not what you're paying on the secondary market. It's probably going to be the most important regular season game for the Yankees this year as you look at the schedule. That may change if they stay young, healthy, and exuberant and they win a bunch of games, but this looks like it's the most important date on the calendar. You can also, on that particular night, get yourself parking rates being higher than their normal ridiculous rates to park your car there. There are $70 commemorative T-shirts. Dude, I'm talking T-shirts. Right. $70 for a T-shirt.
So what do they go normally? Like 25, 35?
35.
35, right.
Hoodies, $90. Not even, the nice sewn-on letters type hoodies. Yeah. Just a silkscreen hoodie, one color.
But that's the American way. That's capitalism.
It's the Yankee way. The Yankee way. Do you think for a second that if George Steinbrenner was alive, he would have priced those shoes and the seats in the horseshoe at $2,500 a piece? The Knicks can't suck enough. To make this decision is mind-boggling to me, because whether you like it or not, to all the get off my lawn guys, that things progress, they change. And it's not like change for change's sake. people want to be entertained. There's too many distractions. I mean, if you look at any game or you watch TV and you watch people that are sitting around the bench, they're on their cell phones. You're paying $3,000 for a floor seat and you're on your cell phone. So there's lots of distractions, and the NBA has answered that by making sure there's lots of stimulus in the game. Dude, they announced guys without the video and without it really distracted to the players to the point where it affected their performance. This is no lie. It was very cool. I'm not a big fan of Draymond Green because he's probably one of the dirtiest players since Dennis Rodman, but still a great talent. He said it was pathetic and it absolutely changed everything. It was ridiculous. It changed the flow of the game. You get used to playing the game a certain way, and to completely change that, I think, is disrespectful. Now, how it's disrespectful is beyond me. Even though I don't like the idea, he says it's disrespectful. So now let's look at the numbers. Teams combined to shoot a total of 15 for 44. That's 34% from the field in the first quarter. That's not three-point shots. That's from the field. Oh, my God. And then they won about 40% total in the second half. They rebound a little bit. But then Green comes out after and goes, did you see that first half, man? It was bad. It was sloppy. It was all over the place. There was no rhythm to the game. All that stuff makes a difference on how we play. Now listen, I think it's a stupid idea, but to blame the fact that you sucked that night on the fact that you're not hearing Janet Jackson's Nasty is beyond me.
Pizza Hut has developed a way that you can order a pie using your shoes.
You need an app as well on your phone, and it's in conjunction with this Final 64 that's coming, where you can literally push a button on the tongue of your shoe based on your preferences, because it geotags you where you are, and they will deliver a pizza to you. It'll come off your credit card. It already knows that you want the large cheese pizza with extra cheese and pepperoni. You hit the button on the tongue of your shoe. Within a half hour, you get your pizza delivered to wherever you and your shoes are.
Good stuff. That's good stuff. All right, well, that will do it for this edition of Inside the Game. CC and The Zolz, Charlie Cornacchio, Rick Zolzer. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, suggestions, topics you'd like to see us discuss on the show, go down to the bottom of the screen, type in your comments there. We'll capture all that information and incorporate it into future episodes. And once again, we want to thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.